pie crust, okay? Don't worry about the biscuits right now. Just concentrate on pie crust.
Don't worry about the biscuits.
Yep, Chef Mullen will call you over when he's ready. So pie crust. There's only 4 basic ingredients in it. Flour, butter, cold water, and salt. Why do you think it has to be cold water? Say again?
Bring it together.
What about the butter? It's going to keep the butter hard, right? So the butter's not soft. Because when the butter's cold, it gets nice and flaky. You saw some of those muffins or the biscuits that came out. You see Chelsea's. Hers are like 2-3 inches tall. She didn't cut them too short. And when they baked up nice, right? So they're nice and light and flaky and crusty in the middle, right? Or crusty on the outside, light and flaky in the middle. All right, so a couple things we noticed earlier, especially with scaling, when you're scaling off ingredients. Okay, and you're going to learn this in the chapter of baking you're doing right now. Is that good?
No.
Why not?
Too much.
It's too much, right? It's not the right amount that you need. So you have to scale it. Okay, is that good? Yeah. Is this good? Why not? Right. Flour, you don't want to do it. The only time you do want to do that is with brown sugar. Okay? So just take it gently, scale it off. 1 cup. Put that off to the side. This recipe calls for 6 tablespoons of butter. How many tablespoons are in 1 stick? 8. Thank you. And if you don't know, there's a cheat sheet on the wall over there. 8. So how do I get 6 out of here? Well, if I mark half, that's 4. If I mark this half, right, that's 2. So each one, do it like this. 2, 4, 6. That's my 6 tablespoons of butter I need to put in there. So what I'm going to do with them, just to make it easier, is just cut them a little bit smaller. You still want it kind of cold. So now we're going to put our 6 tablespoons in. Use something else, don't use your fingers so you don't accidentally cut yourself on the knife. Now we're going to gently, with our hands, push the butter and the flour together. Okay, do it in the bowl. Helps keep it together. You're looking for those small little pieces like you had when you did the biscuit, right? So it's almost like cornmeal when we're done. But this one you can just do by hand. You don't have to use a fork or the pastry cutter. You can just use your fingers. This recipe is good for 1 pie crust. So it's perfect for you to do at home. Help mom, help grandma, whoever out at home for Thanksgiving. Help make pie. Pie crust being made is better than the ones you buy. The ones you buy are okay, but making them is much better because they're flakier, has a nice rich taste to it. Better than the store-bought stuff. Okay? See how it's starting to change the color a little bit? We're using margarine instead of butter, so it's got a little more of a yellow color to it. It's not all just the white from the flour, right? Everyone sees it? Now we're going to add salt and our water. The salt is a 1/4 teaspoon. Can you hand me the measuring spoons right there, please? And the salt. Can you grab the salt, please? The container. It's marked salt. Keep going. Walk down. Right there. Should be a plastic container. Marked salt. Yep. Yep. So you want a 1/4 teaspoon. Which one's a 1/4 teaspoon on here? Big one or a small one? A lot of people had some issues with this earlier. What's this one? That's a tablespoon, right? On measurements recipes, how do you denote tablespoon? Capital T. Teaspoon is what? Small t, lowercase. Sometimes it's a TSP. Okay? You're going to have an assignment next week, or no, this week, for measurements. It's going to go over some of this stuff, okay? So, 1/4 teaspoon. So again, is that acceptable?
No.
No. So you want to level it, right? Put it in. You want a quarter cup of cold milk, or water, excuse me. Hand me a quarter cup right there. Which one should I use for this? This one? Why this one? This is a liquid measuring cup. This is for solids. Flour, sugar, stuff like that, right? Dry ingredients. Think of that. Dry ingredients. Liquid, you usually can see through it. Why can you see through it? So you can see the numbers on here. You can't see through this, so you don't know where they're at. And whenever you measure, you don't measure up here like this. Measure on the table. Okay? So when I measure, I don't want to go like that, because what does that say right there? That says half. You put it down on the table, now what do you have? Now you have a quarter. Okay? So now you're just going to add the water to it, and you're just going to form it into a ball. Okay? You can always do it on a table too, but sometimes it's better to do it in the bowl because you have less mess. And it's easier for you to mix. Don't want to over mix it too much because you don't want to soften up the butter, and you don't want to make it dense. You want it nice and flaky. So we're going to put a little bit of flour on the table. Put your pie dough on the table. Use the flour on the table. Now you're going to keep it in the ball so it's kind of round. Why is that important? It'll spread out evenly, and you want it to fit in the pan, right?
Yeah.
So if it's oblong, it's going to be a little difficult. Now you're going to roll it out gently, turn it. Keep turning just a little bit. No, you don't want, you'll see. Somebody just asked, do you want it thick? Do you want it like that? There's a little secret here when you go to do it. So you can roll it back onto the pan and not have too much excess. But I'm rolling all the way to the outside, right? Don't just roll from the center, because then the center will be too thick. The outside will be real thin. You take your pan and you put it around the edge. If you take your fingers here, see it's 2 fingers width for the wall, the depth of the pan. If I don't have 2 fingers out here, it's not going to cover the walls and the depth of the pan. So you always want to make sure you have 2 fingers all the way around it, if that's the pan depth, okay? Meaning when I put it in, it'll droop down. If I just cut it here, perfect circle around this, when I put it in, it's going to come into here. So you won't have that area on top for a crust. So gently, just going to roll a little more out. We should be good there. Pretty much 2 fingers all the way around. Now, how do I get that into here without breaking it up? There's an easy way. Brush off some of the excess flour that you don't want on there.
So I don't forget what I just wanted.
See how you do it like this? Now I'm just lifting up just gently. You can just take a bench scraper will work. You just want to cut the edges just a little bit. So I'm going to leave it a little bit hang over. take the bench scraper. Yep, you got a little bit hanging on there. It's okay, because we're going to tuck it under so you get a nice crust. You know how you get like a fluted crust? Some people will take a fork and just mark it with a fork. Looks okay, but we have a way to do it that's a little bit nicer. So you have some extra dough hanging off the edge there a little bit. Cut off the extras, put them off to the side. Take this, and you just gently, just going to fold it right to the pan. See how I'm doing it? You don't want to work it too much because you don't want your butter to get too soft, too hot. You want it to be nice and flaky. Okay, so once you get it like that, does that look good? Not really. How do you dress it up? Take your fingers like this and just push it. See how I'm making a spot? Put my 2 fingers there and push my index finger in between my 2 fingers here. Mrs. Smith has nothing on us. You guys don't know who Mrs. Smith is.
Who Mrs. Smith?
Frozen. Go look in the freezer section at your grocery store. That's your pie crust. Okay? Nice, right? Easy to do. So now we take this and we're going to freeze them. And we pull them out when we need them. Fill it with whatever you want to put in the oven when it's the product that's in here. Like we're going to do pumpkin pie next week. Pumpkin pie will be here with a frozen crust, and it'll bake evenly. Okay, or you just refrigerate this and then bring it out and fill it. Okay, you guys all have the recipes. You have 50 minutes. You're just going to make the pie crust and we're going to freeze them. Okay.
Chef, you want the initials on the bottom of the pan or something?
Thank you.